Sir J. Baloy man.
Ay, when I'm trying to speak Ibaloy because again, I'm actually Ibaloy by blood. Pero my upbringing is not here in the Cordillera. I grew up in Mindanao kasi. That's the reason why I have mixed languages that I know. I know Bisaya, I know Chavacano, I know Tausug, the language of the Muslims. I can understand Ilonggo, the ones in Iloilo. I just studied Ilocano when I transferred in CCDC last 2016. If you Glenn Dulas is my student when he was in grade 8 pa, and they were the first batch na hinandalan ko when I was teaching in CCDC. Grade 8 pa sila. And just imagine, college na siya ngayon. And during the first year when I was teaching in CCDC, Tagalog pa ako. I was speaking in Tagalog and in communicating with students because then again, I still don't know how to speak Ilocano. But I try to force myself in speaking Ilocano until I at least be able to communicate with students already. All right, so I hope that you get to see my screen. Is it malaki ba siya? Big enough for you to see it? Are you seeing this one on screen already? Wala ba akong static?
Yes, sir.
All right. So
Yes,
maybe
sir.
later on muna tayong mag-chika-chika, but let's get to talk for this last chapter that was included in your exam. I'm starting to make the exam already. I'm trying to at least make it as objective as you can, no? Syempre it entails most of the items multiple choice para madali sa inyong answer, madali din sa aking i-check, tapos magawa ko, mayroon na yung score, magawa ko na agad yung grades nyo. So, I hope na ganun, no? So, we have your chapter 7, no? We have, the chapter 7 is entitled Genetically Modified Organisms, Science, Health, and Politics. In short, no, your genetically modified organisms or your tawag nito GMO. And then again, this is a product of science, no? This was studied, this was experimented, this is done for a certain purpose. However, nakasali dito yung concept on politics because then again, it affects again politicians. If you can still remember during the first day that I mentioned to you about the first e-discussion that we have. Wait lang, may nag-join. First discussion that we have, yun na nga, sabi ko, ano bang kailangan natin? Do we need more scientists than lawyers, or do we need more lawyers than scientists, or do we need a balance in the number of them? So I'm not sure, no, we're not sure, but the point is that kasali na siya actually dito sa decision making and even how it affects this certain issue, no, in science. So just last week we mentioned about the biodiversity, no, and I came across in a certain group here in FB about the group is Society of Filipino Foresters Incorporated Advocacy. This is reposted by my friend who's actually working in the Department of Agriculture, so also a fellow biker. And I was surprised that what I seem to know who are actually that are actually mga I thought local na mga species were actually invasive species pala, no? Sabi dito sa second paragraph, examples of invasive species that successfully invaded forests and farms in the Philippines includes large leaf mahogany. I'm not sure how this one is different from the regular mahogany, pero ang dami nating mahogany dito eh. Another would be your paper mulberry, hagonoy or siam weed. Ito, nakikita nyo ito. Hagonoy is actually the grass that you get to see that whenever you blow that certain na mga part ng tangkay niya, it actually yung lumilipad ngayon na nalilipad sa hangin na parang maliit na cotton. Coronitas, ipil-ipil. Ipil-ipil pala is an invasive species. And Gemelina, no, Gemelina is also at the same time invasive. Acacia is an invasive. So medyo na-surprise ako that these species are actually invasive here in the Philippines. I'm not sure. Anyway, let me ask you, anybody who went to Bohol? Meron na ba sa inyo nakapunta ng Bohol? This is just a recap of what we had discussed last week. Anybody who went to Bohol na sa inyo? Meron na bang nakapunta sa inyo ng Bohol? There's a certain place in Visayas. Bohol. Meron na ba? Wala pa ata. Wait lang. Hindi ko sure kung connected pa ako. Tahimik nyo naman. Am I still connected ba?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I cannot seem to... Bakit ito? Anong nangyari dito? I can't seem to accept them. Yung accept ng mga kaklase nyo na... bakit ito? Anyway. Alright, let's for a while. So, alright, anyway, let's continue. Alright, so yun na nga, no? These are actually, I thought pala mga invade ako. But if you went to Bohol, in Bohol, there is a known part in Bohol wherein there is what they call the man-made forest. The forest was man-made because then again, it's actually barren before, wala siyang laman. And people actually planted tall mahoganies, no? How many years have passed? And ang daming mahoganies. And actually, ang daming nagpapapicture sa gitna ng daan is because ang daming mahoganies dito. I believe that there's a certain part in La Union, merong mga mahoganies din doon na yung ang mga tao nagpapapicture sa gitna ng daan. However, if you're trying to keenly observe that area, makita mo medyo bakit ang tahimik? Parang scary tahimik siya. Very, very silent yung man-made forest na yon. And it's just quite, it's quite curious. I'm just quite curious with that one. It's because I get to realize na man-made siya, no? Man-made siya. And maybe, then again, no, we believe in invasive species that maybe other organisms hindi hiyang na magstay doon. You know, if a certain forest is actually local or walang invasive species or talagang naturally nag-grow dyan, makakarinig kayo ng sound ng birds, makakainig kayo ng mga different sounds of other organisms. But I was surprised with that man-made forest na pagpunta mo doon, it's totally silent. And maybe because that is the effect of those mga species na inintroduce natin and how it affects biodiversity. It's quite eerie. It's quite scary silent, no? If you are in that forest. Anyway, let's continue. Now, when we talk about your genetically modified organisms, this is actually a very controversial issue is because people rally about this one. Just imagine when you talk about genetically modified organisms. You're trying to modify the genes, and it's not easy. No, it's not easy for us to modify genes is because then again it's a sequence of code. If you try to destroy or maybe even just disturb the codes, it may affect that organism to the point of maybe it will become abnormal, to the point that maybe it will die, to the point that maybe if it lives, yun na sabi ko, abnormal. Excuse. So, yun, no? Sabi dito, genetic modification produces genetically modified animals, plants, and organisms. If they are introduced into the environment, they can affect biodiversity. For example, existing species can be overrun by more dominant new species. Again, this is related to your biodiversity is because genetically modified organisms are actually organisms. Organisms that may be the same with the one that we are introducing, but then again, a super version of that organism. Now, if you get to hear controversies about people trying to modify their genes, ginawa na po ito in history ni Hitler. You know Adolf Hitler? Are you familiar with Adolf Hitler? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Alright. Who is he? Sino
Yes,
siya?
sir.
Sino ba si Adolf Hitler?
German
He's a German what?
leader.
Yes, a German leader, no? To be specific, he's a German dictator. Now, to be honest, no? Anybody of you have watched the story of Captain America? Alam niyo ba story ni Captain America?
Yes, sir.
Alright, no? If you're looking at the history of Captain America, ano bang nangyari doon kay Captain America? What was his story? How did he become Captain America? Paano siya naging Captain America? Anybody will share some few tidbits of the story or the movie?
So, nahilig sa
What happened to him?
Pinag-experimentan ko, sir.
Oh, pinag-experimentan. Can you describe his before and after? How was he before?
nakutong, sir.
Sir.
Nagpaiso no, nakutong so na. Tapos afterwards, after the experimentation, he became like a superhuman, no? To be honest with you, that story has a true to life story of what is happening during the time during the World War, during the European wars, no, with Germany, with Russia, with Great Britain, with United States, no. It's because during the time when Adolf Hitler was a dictator, he was actually one of those people who have underground experiments of trying to manipulate genes. But imagine, manipulating the genes of humans. Human po yung minamanipulate na. Now, to be honest, yes, nangyayari ito, no? We're trying to at least, ano ba tawag nito ngayon? Scientists are trying to experiment on this genetic makeup of human is because, no? Not all our genes are actually good. Meron tayong mga sinasabi nating mga bad genes. That bad gene is actually the ones that make us sick. That bad gene is actually the ones that make us weak. Or maybe the ones that are actually making us die early. No, yung ganon. But during the time when Adolf Hitler was doing it, no, he was trying to modify the genes of humans, of taking out all the bad genes and only leaving the good genes. Just like what happened to Captain America, he was an experiment of genetic modification of trying to take out the bad genes, yung pagiging bansot niya, pandak niya, pagiging payat niya, tinanggal yun, pagiging siguro kung pangit ka pa, na-modify mo yung gene, naging gwapo ka, something like that. Or maybe kung wala kang lakas, ngayon meron ka ng super strength. That is actually the target before of the gene modification before. And during that time when Adolf Hitler was on power, he was trying to actually make super soldiers. Just imagine, you have sets of thousands of German soldiers who are actually only have the good gene, hindi basta-basta nagkakasakit, malalakas, nakakasurvive ng different temperatures, malamig, mainit, okay lang sila. However, it's very risky, and at that time when Adolf Hitler was doing this, hindi po siya naging successful. Buti na lang. Just imagine if he was successful and the whole world is run by Germans, no? So, yun. So, meron tayong mga consequences of the GMO is because aside from humans, if you're trying to modify also the genes of other organisms, it may cause an imbalance in the biodiversity. Let's continue some more with this one. Alright, so ito yung definition ng GMO, no? We try to introduce or we're trying to suppress, no? Tawag dito. We're trying to suppress or introduce genes. Pag ini-introduce natin, we're giving genes that are actually good genes. Yung kaya nilang mag-survive ng mga different conditions, kaya nilang mag-survive ng mga different pests, kaya nilang mag-survive sa certain chemicals. Or, if meron silang mga bad genes, we're trying to suppress that bad gene para hindi sila mag-manifest. Ano yung iniiwan natin? Yung desired traits lang. So, meron kayong assignment. Do you still remember your assignment? Ma-remember nyo sa assignment. Tingnan nga natin kung sino gumawa ng mga assignment nila at na-remember nila yung assignment related to this GMO. Still remember yung assignment?
Yes, sir.
Yun nga dyan assignment yun.
Yes, sir.
Ano yung
The
assignment?
first,
The
the first GMO that
Alright,
were being quantity Pilipinas, sir.
Alright, very good. No? So the first GMO, the first genetically modified organism that was approved in the Philippines. And they actually done this one is because hindi natin natatanggal ito sa parte ng ating buhay. Alright? So let's get to talk more about that one. Alright? So, bakit ba ginagawa or bakit ba uso ngayon ang genetic engineering? Just imagine in this picture, this is your DNA which contains all your genetic codes that makes up your body. No? Trying to just manipulate one there will actually change the code and maybe also even change your makeup. So, an itsura mo, baka mamaya aatras yung height mo. No? Or baka mamaya nagmanipulate yan, biglang mag-spurt yung height mo, naging 8-footer ka na or something like that. Pero bakit uso ngayon yung tinatawag nating genetic engineering? I'm not sure if UP is offering this course, pero isa ito sa mga mahihirap na course right now. No, you have your genetic engineering. Bakit kasi ginagawa ito? Is because of these two points, no? This is not found in your module, but then this is just my understanding of why genetic engineering is actually done or important. It's because of food security. And another would be your biodiversity balance. Sabi ko nga, mas magandang, mas diverse yung ating ecosystem because it will give us the chance to be able to survive more. Pero in terms of food security, bakit ba kailangan natin ng food security? Can you imagine, let's say for example, 20 years from now, what happens to our supply of food? What do you think? Mas dadami ba? Mas kokonti ba? Try to imagine what is happening right now and how it will affect the future and how it will affect our food supply. Anybody would like to share to us your idea about this one? Kumusta yung food
Price increase.
Price increase, yes, it's true. Price increase is because maybe siguro mahal na yung mga rekado, mahal na yung mga supply ng ating mga pagkain. Ano pa? What will happen aside from price increase? Anybody? Maybe others could share also.
Sir,
Yes. Can you please repeat that one?
sir,
Alright, I wasn't able to hear that one. Pero, what's your one? Just one word. Ano yung keyword mo dyan when you talk about kumusta yung food supply natin or food security natin by the next years?
Sir, lack of
Yes, continue.
supply.
Lack of supply, yes, no? We'll be experiencing more or less a very low supply of our very low supply of our food. And somebody mentioned in the group chat, no, na mag-i-import na tayo ng pagkain or ng supply natin ng pagkain. Or just think of it this way, as of the moment. Tingnan natin yung buong picture. We have the earth. And in the earth, we only have 1/4% of the earth is actually land, no? Lupa. The rest would be, the 3/4% would be your oceans, your seas, or your water bodies. As you get to see, hindi po lumalaki yung earth natin. Hindi po siya lumalaki. However, we know that our population is increasing and increasing and increasing and increasing. No? And science is trying to find ways for us to be able to prolong our lives. To the point that ang daming nabubuhay na mga tao ngayon, no? Just imagine how many babies are actually napapanganak in just 1 second. Maraming nanganganak, pero kunti yung namamatay is because of the advancement of science. Ano kayang mangyayari dyan pag maraming nanganganak at konti yung namamatay? What will happen to us? Anybody?
mapupuno ang earth.
Alright, mapupuno ng earth or somebody mentioned overpopulation, which is true. Yan yung isang problema ng earth ngayon. Kaya, to be honest, no, being as a science teacher, though it hurts for us to see our loved ones leave or something like mga ganun, no, na syempre loved ones natin. Madaling sabihin na balance yan ng ating nature, no, na hindi pwedeng lahat lang nabubuhay. Kasi then again, pag lahat nabuhay at napuno tayo dito sa earth at nakuha natin lahat ng lupa, Alright, just imagine. Imagine how many years before itong La Trinidad, no? Or if you are also in La Trinidad, this was agriculture. Yung mga land natin, puro agriculture. However, as the years go by and go by, the agricultural becomes commercial. Buildings na yan. Just imagine most of the lands right now, no? Yung nakikita natin dyan sa may Mount Kalugong, bakante pa yan na mount. Pero maybe let's say for the next 10 years, puro na yan bahay. Mauubos natin lahat ng supply natin sa land. We'll be trying to cut down more trees and we're trying to consume more food. However, we don't have any more places for us to plant. Places for us to grow our livestocks. Baka, yung nuwang, yung baka, yung karabaw, yung chicken natin, which are actually source of food. Mauubos yan. Saan tayo ngayon? Saan tayo magtatanim? Saan tayo mag-aalaga ng ating source of food? Gusto niyo ba pumatong tayo sa tubig, doon tayo doon tayo mamuhay? Or just imagine, no, someday siguro pag napuno na yung land, para tayong SpongeBob that we're going to live underwater. Papayag ba kayo nun? Or going to live underwater? So, yun na nga yung kinatatakutan natin in the future is because no, dumadami tayo at nagko-consume tayo ng marami. And to the point that hindi na nakakahabol yung supply natin ng pagkain sa dami ng population papakainin natin. And here comes science now in trying to solve that problem by trying to introduce genetically modified organisms through genetic engineering. At the same time, sabi ko nga biodiversity balance din kasi nga ang hirap, no? Ang hirap i-balance pag at this point we're trying to introduce invasive species in a certain area. So anong gagawin natin? I-modify natin yung mga local na mga plants dito that they will thrive more as opposed to we're trying to introduce invasive species. Let's continue some more. So these are some few of those mga products that we encounter in the internet. Kung ano yung mga few products ng ginawa nilang GMO, no? So, the number one crop in the United States is actually corn because they need corn chips, corn cereals, whatever. So, ito yung una nilang minodify. They're trying to modify this one to the point that yung butil ng isang corn malalaki, yung plant ng corn, hindi basta-bastang nakakain ng mga grasshoppers or other pests or even fungus. Etong corn na ito, if it changes weather like sobrang na ulanan or sobrang nainitan, kaya pa nila. Something like that. And the rest will be at least pareha-parehas na yung mga nila, no? Yung mga characteristics. Just imagine we have organisms like this one. And because they are super plants, no? Or parang tao din, superhuman or super plants, meaning, nakaka-survive sila, meaning they can produce more, and therefore, we have quite security of our food supply. Meron tayong food supply na secured. Just imagine, merong isang scientist was trying to modify the shape, no? The shape of watermelons. Gusto niya gawin yung watermelon square. Just imagine a square watermelon. Ano kayang reason niya bakit square yung watermelon? Anybody? Merong idea? Gusto niyang gawing square yung watermelon. And even tomatoes, they're trying to make it square. Ano kaya? Oh, mga farmers natin dito. Just imagine if square or square yung watermelon natin or square yung kamatis natin. What do you think would be the advantage of it? And what's the reason why genetic modification is done by that scientist? Any idea? Anybody? Somebody's turning on his mic. Bakit kaya gusto niyang gawin yun?
Tanuan nga agtulid, sir.
Wen, agpay so. Yun yung tamang question. Tamang answer, no? The point of that scientist was trying to make a cube or a square watermelon or tomatoes is because it's easier for them to pack it. Just imagine pag square yan, mas madaling i-pack sila kasi square na nga. No, hindi sila or if you're trying to transport them, mas secured sila kasi square nga sila. Just imagine yung kamatis natin square din, i-pack mo dyan, kahit lagyan mo lang ng plastic wrap, no, because it's square, then it's easy for us to to pack them. Meaning easier packing, secured packing, meaning lesser na nasisira during the transport and better food supply for us. Something like that. So ito yung mga samples ng mga products natin. Meron pang ginagawa silang iba. Alright? So meron tayong salmon, canola oil, yeast, Hawaiian papaya. Yeah, those different stuff, no? So, ano yung answer nyo during that time in your assignment of the first organism approved in the Philippines? First genetically modified organism approved in the Philippines. Ano answer nyo?
Golden rice, sir.
Yes. Ano answer nyo?
Golden rice.
Alright, very good. Golden rice, which is true. Your golden rice right now is still being experimented until now at UP Los Baños, no? You have your University of Philippines Los Baños. And this is done hand in hand by Japan. Kasi then again, we share with what is common with us with Japan. Staple po sa atin yung rice. It's not only Filipinos who consume rice, also Japanese. And the reason there is that, no, since alam nila na yung Japanese, Filipinos are also eating rice and they are staple, no? Meron tayo sa breakfast, sa lunch, and sa dinner. Pag walang rice, parang hindi kompleto yung ating pagkain. So Japanese went to the Philippines and introduced and tried to have a joint or collaboration of the experiment and trying to make, no, tawag nitong genetically modified rice, or they called it the golden rice. If you get to see and compare them, medyo maganda yung kulay ng golden rice, no? Yellow. Medyo golden yellow siya yung kulay niya. Alright. Because of your assignment, no, can you share to us, ano ba yung so special with the golden rice na hindi natin makikita sa regular rice? Anybody would like to share? What's so special with the golden rice? Ano yung nabasa nyo or answer nyo doon? What's so special with the golden rice? Anybody?
Nutrients.
Alright, nutrients,
like the
no?
carotene.
Alright, tama, no? Nutrients. There was this one that I encountered. Nutrients are the insertion of what you call the vitamin A. So, vitamin enriched merong vitamin A enriched po yung golden rice natin as compared to your regular rice. Meron din pa rin yan, pero it's not as much as the one with the golden rice. What else? What's so special with the golden rice? What else? Ano? Ma-remember niyo yung mga pinag-ansiran niyo.
Can help to prevent blindness.
Health, yes. That's the ano, that's the benefit that we get from having vitamin A enriched rice, and we only get that one from your golden rice. What else? What else is so special with your golden rice that is not found in your regular rice? Ganon. Anong special?
Produced through genetic engineering to biosynthesize beta-carotene.
Carotene. Alright. So, yeah, your beta-carotene is related to actually your vitamin A. Kasi, yeah, the beta-carotene or your vitamin A is really very good for your eyesight. So, yun na nga, it's related. Yung vitamin A mo at saka beta-carotene are actually vitamins that are related. Yes. Ano pang special nitong rice na ito na wala sa regular rice? What's so special with this one? Aside from it having vitamin A, more vitamin A as compared to the regular rice. Some more? Last discussion na natin. It's time for you to at least I get to hear your voices if you never have spoken before. And it's not high time for you to speak. Anybody?
Mas madaling maitanim at anihin.
Alright, mas madaling matanim at anihin. In what specific ways? Like, for example, mas madaling itanim. In what specific ways can it be easily planted? Or cultivated? Or at the same time, maybe easily harvested at the same time? Ano yung mga specific na nangyari dyan? Some more? Sana meron akong kwan. I was doing this one in high school kasi I have a roleta of the names tapos meron akong random name picker. Ayun yung magre-recite. Ang hirap gawin sa online eh. Anyway, yun. So, like to share to us. So, isa na yun, yung vitamin A. Ano pa? Imposible lang ginawa lang yung golden rice with the fact that it's just having more vitamin A as compared to the regular rice. It's just not that advantageous.
Safe color.
Yes? Anong kanyan? Pwede pakiulit? Pwedeng pakiulit, hindi ko narinig yun.
Sir, mas mura.
Mas mura? I'm not sure kasi this is still in the in progress of them making this one. I'm not sure if this is already released for them to be purchased or retailed. I'm not sure even in the price. Baka hindi natin alam kasi GMO ito, mas mahal ito or mas mura ito. So I'm not sure about in terms of the price. Pero if it's something that you have seen siguro online that you have research, sige, let's put it the fact that it's gonna cheaper compared to the regular rice. What else? When you talk about yung genes na manipulate, what advantage does it give to the rice pag manipulate nila yung gene dito?
Nabunga, sir.
Alright. Very good. No, Jay, may isa, no? Isang advantage ito is nabunga siya, no? If you are a farmer of rice or if you live in Vizcaya or sa baba, no? Or even meron tayo dyan sa Itogon sa Bukod, we only have seasons of rice. Like for example, we only plant during the rainy days and we harvest that one on the sunny days or the summer, something like that. And if you're going to cycle that one in 1 year, I think 2 beses tayong pwedeng mag-harvest ng rice in 1 year. But for the genetically modified rice or the golden rice, because of its strength, because it's a super plant, because it's a super rice, it has the ability for them to be able to resist pests. Again, aside from it, no, very meron siyang vitamin A, hindi siya basta-basta na nalalapitan ng mga peste, grasshoppers, fungus that will kill the organism. Another would be that they don't need much chemical for them to be able to be yung mga pesticide, hindi na nila kailangan yun. Another would be the advantage of this rice is that hindi sila basta-bastang nauuhaw. Kunti yung tubig, buhay sila. Sobra yung tubig, buhay pa rin sila. Unlike the regular rice that it needs more care, it needs more maintenance as compared to this genetically modified rice. That's the reason why in this case, sa genetically modified rice or your golden rice, marami siyang advantage in terms of sa farmers kasi hindi ka na magme-maintain more. Another would be, you have more cycles for you to harvest this one in 1 year. Pwedeng at least 3 times a year kang pwedeng mag-harvest is because, let's say for example, no, yung regular rice natin, tumutubo siya fully grown na pwede na natin siyang harvestin in every 6 months. However, for this genetically modified rice, pwede lang siya kahit na 4 months, buo na siya, matured na siya, pwede na natin siyang pwede na natin siyang i-harvest. So just imagine we have a supply of 3 times a year as compared to 2 times a year. And this is one of the reasons why genetically modified organisms to genetic engineering is done, is because we're trying to solve food security, or we're trying to at least maintain having a good food supply. No? Again, hindi lahat ng lupa pwedeng pagtaniman ng rice. But because of this genetically modified organisms, kaya nilang mag-survive kahit hindi masyadong ganun kasustansya yung rice. Something like that. And you get to see here, no? The golden rice, it has advantages. These are the ones that I'm expecting you to answer. No? So it has increased micronutrients or vitamin A, or some Madi mentioned about beta-carotene. Accelerate photosynthesis, meaning pag kaya nilang mag-photosynthesize ng mabilis, they can create their own food. And then again, as what was mentioned, nabutil, no? Malalaki yung grains and mabibilis tumubo yung grains. they can tolerate herbicides. Meaning, kahit sprayan mo ng, yung, ng herbicides or yung mga pampapatay ngayon ng grass, no, kaya nilang mabuhay yung grass patay na. Something like that. Resist pests, increase grain science, and generate nutrients, flavors, and proteins. So, your rice is actually a carbohydrate, but then, it may contain protein, sabi dito sa genetically modified rice that we have. So, yun nga, no, meron tayong tinatawag na gene manipulation. And with that gene manipulation that we have, no, I introduce to you another fictional na genetically modified organisms in Netflix, no. Genetic manipulation, the consequence of changing the genes of an individual cell are still unknown, no? DNA is not like Lego na pag nagkamali ka or na-replace mo or nagkamali ka sa sequence, madali na lang siyang ayusin ulit na i-isoli mo lang. Hindi siya ganun. That's the reason why it takes time, it takes risk for us to be able to manipulate genes safely. Now, I have a picture here on the other side. Anybody who has watched this video? This is a Korean English movie in Netflix. Meron na bang nakapanood nito? Anybody? Meron ba kahit isa sa inyo?
Yes, sir.
Anong movie to? What movie is this?
Orca?
Orca, no? This is Okja?
Ja.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
Okja. Nyo ba? Napanood nyo ba yung story nito?
Yes, sir.
So, alright. Before we're going to talk about the story, what organism is the one? Is this the one beside the little girl? Anong organism to? Sa inyo, para sa inyo, ano sa tingin nyo? Para sa mga hindi nakapanood, just guess, anong organism na to? Ha? Yes? Anybody would like to guess what organism is this one?
Sana all pinanood.
Alright, sige. Dagajayhan nga nakabuya. Yung mga hindi nakapanood, i-guess nyo nga anong organism ito? Anong animal ito?
Hippolyphant.
Hippolyphant. So, combination ng hippopotamus at elephant. No, it's not a hippolyphant. It's not a combination. It doesn't look like that one na regular na animal. Pero this is not a hybrid animal. This is just a regular animal na parang inexage lang nila in this movie. Pero ano ito? Ano sa tingin niyo ito?
Baboy samot.
Well, nagpaiso. This is actually pig. Baboy na ito eh. Baboy na ito eh. Imagine nyo, baboy yuk at kasta kadakol. Alright. Alright. Kasto ito istorya na dito eh, no? In the movie. Alright. Kasi ito istorya na. Nagdakol na ito eh. If you're going to just look at maybe kung may access kayo ng Netflix, watch the movie Okja. J.A. Okja, title na dito eh. The story of this the genetic side or the science side of this movie is that Korea is trying to modify genes of pigs. They're trying to modify the genes of pigs to the point that these pigs grow big. Ang laki nila as in parang kasing kasing laki nila ata ng elepante eh. Yung mga pigs nila, mga baboy nila dito. It's because these pigs are actually for them to be able to grow this big and to grow fast as this big para mamaya, no? Marami tayong food supply na karne ng baboy natin. Imagine, 'di ba? No agpawat-wat ka or may isa lang kastoy kat mabalinan sa. May isa nga barangay pakanam, 'di ba? So ganito ang ginagawa ng genetic manipulation, no? So imagine the smallest pig the biggest pig that we have right now is overtaken by a genetically modified organism na pig na singlaki ng elepante. No? And tingnan mo ilang kilo ito at ilan yung mabebenta mo nito, no? Trying to But nangyari dito kasi sa story dito, ang daming ginawang genetically modified pig dito at yung caretaker ay itong bata. During the time kasi na kailangan ng katayin itong ipartin dito yung pig, no. Medyo nagkaroon siya ng attachment kaya ayaw niyang ipakatay itong pig na ito kasi nga naging pet niya na. So something like that. So isa ito sa sinasabi nating genetic manipulation. Pero why are people so against with this one? Kasi if you're going to look at in the United States, ito ay isang nagiging nirarally ito eh, no? Ano kaya, bakit kaya yung people they do not conform to the GMO? If GMO is the one that will solve our problems in terms of food supply in the future, then why people are actually fighting against it or rallying against it? These are some few of the reasons why, no? Bad effects on small scale farmer. Totoo ito. Pag wala kang suporta coming from the scientists or coming from the organization or coming from the government at isang small scale farmer ka lang, just imagine ikaw, regular ricer, nagpa-plant ka ng regular rice, yung kalaban mong isang malaking farmer, kasi malaki nga, so madaling suportahin ng gobyerno yung mga malalaking farmers kasi they can invest money on them. At yung rice na binibenta nila is pest resistant na mga rice or hindi basta-basta namamatay na rice. Ikaw, na bagyo lang, ubos lahat, sila, meron pa. Kawawa ka naman. No? Until such time na mababankrupt ka. Organism seems abnormal since genes are manipulated. We're not used to this kind of food culture. Hindi tanggap pa sa culture natin yung kumain ng mga GMO. And little is still understood yet about the negative effects on health. Some others are telling us that this genetically modified food or products can cause food allergy. Though hindi pa masyadong nagawan ng study if it's yung food allergy is related to the GMO product, right? However, ano ba rin mang benefits nito? The crop is resistant to negative factors, low maintenance, higher yield. No, hindi mo na kailangan mag-maintain more. At the same time, sabi nga, mabutil, no? Marami kang ma-harvest, marami kang pera. So marami ding food supply. Alright, so minimize food scarcity, which is the second bullet. So that would be it for the last discussion of our genetically modified organism. No? And sabi nga natin, no, minsan, no, people, mahirap tayong tumanggap agad ng mga pagbabago. Pero siguro in the next how many years from now, ma-accept din natin ito na this will be the solution to our problem. Na paano nga pag yung mga techniques natin ngayon kay hindi na applicable for us to be able to supply food in the future. Our typhoons are getting stronger. Climate change is getting worse. People are overpopulating. So where can we get our food? Yan. So yung mga ganun. So questions for this activity, for this last chapter that we have? Questions? May questions ba?
Sir.
None so far?
None, sir.
Kasi na-advance nyo na to and I know that na-advance nyo na nga yung activity dito, so yun na nga, hindi nyo na masyadong kanyong, but this is the ones that were discussed here, even not found in your activities or in your modules, are actually included in your exam. Kasi I'll be taking some few items here. Alright, so yeah, somebody's mentioning about the exam sa group chat. So alright, so let's get to talk about your exam now. Kasi hindi ko pa nga nagagawa yung natatapos yung exam, and then again, kahit tapos ko na yung exam, i-upload ko pa yan sa LMS, and nagkakaproblema minsan yung LMS. That's the reason why I may upload it by Sunday, by Thursday, tapos Friday exam tayo. So now is the time for you, kung pwede sanang maka-on kayo if you're allowed to have a good connection and turn on your cameras. Maybe it's a time for us to discuss and turn on your mics and share to us. Ano bang oras sa Friday ang gusto nyong pag-examan natin? Anybody?
Sir, may agsapa, sir.
Oray agsapan niya. I was thinking also na oray agsapamat lang kinyak ko ma. Jay nangyari gamin idi nga malum. Medyo it's prolonging the agony na. Bakante ka na. Sana kinuha mo na lang agad tapos na. Wala ka ng problema. Anybody? Any time, any convenient time that you'd like to share to us or suggest. Then maybe kung sinabi niyo yung time na yon, at the people most of you will agree. What time? Maybe on Friday. Bakante man kayo ng Friday, di ba? Somebody mentioned about the 8 to 8 na klase, na exam. Grabe naman yung 8 to 8. Hindi naman siguro kung yung 8 to 8. Anybody?
Sir,
Yes?
10 to 11.
10 to 11? Would the majority be amenable with the 10 to 11? Okay lang ba sa inyo yung 10 to 11?
No.
No? Wow.
No.
Dapat punta pre.
Alright, maaga masyado. Anong gusto nyong time? Would you like it 11 to 12? Maybe before you take the lunch or maybe after after lunch or during lunch?
After lunch.
After lunch?
For lunch?
After lunch. So, what time would that be? 1 to 2?
After lunch.
Oh, alright. Sige,
2
after
to
lunch
3.
ng inyang oras. Anyang oras
2
nga.
to 3.
Sir,
2 to 4. 2 to 4.
na lang.
Yun, sir.
Alright,
2 to
ganito
5.
na lang. Alright, ganito. I get to see
Ito, sir.
I get to see a common time.
1 to 2,
Sir,
sir.
baka pwede gabi?
Gabi.
1 to 2, sir.
Alright.
Sir, ada putik ngay. Sorry ah.
Once again,
1 to 2, sir.
duty. Are you working, Miss Con? Miss
Yes,
Mayo, Miss?
yes, yeah, yes, sir.
Saan ka nagtatrabaho? Where do you work?
Benggit dyan po, ER.
Ay, so you're a nurse also?
Midwife, sir.
Okay.
Pero working as attendant.
Okay. Sige.
Respect.
I get to relate also myself when I was having my duty before. But anyway, alright, so you have your rounds. So, alright, ganito na lang. I get to see that kanina, you have a common time which is around alas 2. Common time yun na parang 2 to 4, 2 to 3, 2 to 5, and the rest of you, some others are asking na pwedeng gabi ba or something like that. Alright, ganito na lang. I'll be turning it on 2 by 2 p.m. Okay ba yun, 2 p.m.? Pero sana
Yes,
most
sir.
of you will be answering that one or be able to answer that one or start answering your exam by 2 and above. Ang kinatatakutan ko lang kasi pag hindi kasi sabay-sabay, merong mga first batchers na mag-exam. And some others will do the second batching. So, yun, meron ng lumusot na ibang mga test questions. Something like that. That's actually yung kwan ko. Yung hindi natin maiwasan sa online classes. Yeah. So, yun yung iniwasan ko. Kaya I get to, tawag nito, encourage ko sabay-sabay lahat. Pero, for some few factors na may nagtrabaho yung may iba, PM lang kailangan pwede nating pag-usapan niya. So okay lang yung alas 2 na lang.
Sure.
Alright? Alas 2 ka no?
Yes,
Mga
sir.
1 hour
Yes,
lang.
sir.
Baka 80 items lang din yung gagawin ko ulit.
Nag-open cam daw talaga.
Open kayong gaminta. Siyempre hindi ko na kayo makikilala kasi. I mean, yung mga nagsasalita lang before. Kaya ibale mag-screenshot tayo. Screenshot natin ng item ako natin mamaya. Sa mga naka-open cam. But yun na, sabi ko. Alright, sige. So that would be 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, no? However, as I mentioned, this will be our culminating activity now for the rest of you. Maybe some of you having the first timers na naging estudyante in the college and medyo yung na nga no, naabutan kayo ng pandemic and you had this non face to face na classes. But as a way for me to be able to encourage you kasi then again it's kind of low for us to have this type of setup that will be we have right now. Mahirap siya. Let me grab this opportunity for me to be able to thank you for joining this class, for being there from the first until to the last discussion, and maybe we will still be seeing each other in the future for other subjects, no? But I really actually appreciated how this class was. I was expecting more bibo sa ed, pero mas bibo yung midwifery na section. Just to give
Thank
you,
you, sir.
just give you an idea about it. So in terms of sa group chat, even sa interaction, mas bibo yung mga midwifery. Pero don't worry, I have two licenses that actually relate to your courses. So medical and the teaching field. So yun. But yeah, thank you very much, and I hope that we get to see each other in the future. First year, punta pa kayo ng third year. Hopefully by third year, meron ng face to face and get to see you face to face also someday. Maybe some of you nakita nyo ako sa daan, sumigaw kayo lang. Sumigaw kayo lang.
Biking.
Kasi nakita ko ni Mr. Sagaang that time. nakita niya daw akong nagbabike. So, nagdadalawang isip na sumigaw kung ako ba talaga yon. Nag-PM. Nga ako nga pala yung talagang dumaan. But the point is that, no, I'm just giving an encouragement for the first years who are actually taking the college for the first time. Maybe mga second courser dito sa atin may share, but I know it's really very hard, to be honest with you, and I'm sharing this opportunity for me to tell you that if it's hard for my students and it's hard for me also as a teacher, na pag pinahirapan ko yung mga lessons ko, mahihirapan kayo, and later on ako lang din mahihirapang humabol sa inyo. But I'm trying to find ways on trying to make this one, at least sabi ko nga, I'm trying to reflect from the day 1 until this day. Meron ba silang natutunan? Meron ba silang at least merong isang concept na tumatak sa ulo nila? And kahit yung isang yun is really a big achievement for me already. For those students who are having hard time, mahirap, to be honest. Pero we're all in this together na pag mahirap sa inyo, mahirap din sa amin. So magtulungan tayo. And someday I get to see you that makita ko kayo in the future that, oy sir, teacher na ako, midwife na ako, mga ganung mga bagay. Or sir, police na ako. No, and how you're able to tell yourself that you are an overcomer. No? Na kahit mahirap, kung mahirap man yan, pwedeng mag-pause. Sandali, pause ka. No? Pero don't quit. Tuloy nyo pa rin. Kasi, looking at how blessed you are with other students who are facing depression, who are not strong enough to face challenges like this, and you having support systems coming from your friends, coming from your parents who are spending for you, or for your mga sponsors, or yung mga lolos and your aunties and your kuyas. The point is that ituloy nyo lang, no. Ang hirap to be honest, but I want to see you someday succeed, and seeing my students succeed, and I was part of that journey, na merong 3 months doon sa eskwela nyo na nagkita-kita tayo. That's the reason why gusto ko sa kayo na kayong makita in terms of how you look. Kasi baka mamaya sa tarpaulin ko na lang kayo
Makakaiyak, sir.
Lo. Hindi,
Pakada ni sir.
grabe mo. Ang kita-kita tayo lang kasi.
Good taste ka, sir. Kita tayo.
Han, grabe mo, good taste. Naibos to pa kontakta.
Wala din, sir. Once in a lifetime.
Hindi na, makikita pa rin tayo. Baka meron kayong natsay. I will be, chances are, 3 yung teacher ng natsay, isa ako doon. Di makikita tayo ulit. Alright, something like that. But the point is that, if ever...
Good taste ka lang, sir.
Ha? Hanak gamin nga makapili ti section, isuda nga itag-itad ti section. So, nairan na nga J section nga naitad kinyak, yun na yun. May bibigay sa akin. But the point is that, no, yung kan. I like to thank you at the same time, yun, inananusan dak nga sa dito, yung magmasak nga kaslaak nga. Wala akong kausap. Minsan, feeling ko wala akong kausap. Pero ganito talaga. But the point is that, just to give you, to share to you na kahit mahirap, ituloy nyo lang, no? First year pa lang, you still have 3 more years, and I hope and pray that we have already a face-to-face by your 3rd year, and we get to see each other again. 4th year, board exam, and I get to see you and with flying colors. You make yourself proud, your parents proud, your children proud, and yun, kasi lahat tayo merong pangarap, no? And masarap na maabot natin yung pangarap dun, pero going to that pangarap is not an easy way for us to travel. So you'll be encountering some few mga obstacles, but then again, as I've mentioned, no, if you think that maybe it's hard, you may pause for a while. Just pause. Some few of my students here, maybe you are here, na sabi nila, sir, I decided to stop. Merong nag-PM sa akin, nag-stop. Tapos after a week, sir, hindi ko na lang pala ituloy. Magpapasa na lang pala ako ng activity. Ayun, nagpasa. So I was happy, to be honest. I was happy to see her there and bumalik siya. So something like that. You may pause for a while. Just tell your teacher na, sir, ma'am, medyo nahirapan ako. Can you give me extensions or something like that? Pero yun na nga, kaya nyo yan. You will encounter other teachers who are more better than me. How are other teachers who are more knowledgeable than me, other teachers who are mas okay kaysa sa akin. I appreciate them. Today is your happy teacher, teachers month pala ngayon. Hindi ko yun alam.
Happy Teacher's Month!
Hindi ko yun alam. But yes, no, you get to just at least appreciate your kan. So I know that this is the last week and yan kasano?
Sir, may met adisi ka?
Apaya.
Kahit misi ka.
Kasi
Hindi teacher mi nga daduma.
Sika ko mahati. Ag-extend, sir. Sika ko nga.
Gusto ka taman di social science ni.
Sir, gusto
Sir,
ko taman ni Pastor.
Sir, ni Bio mi.
sino ni Sok sa'yo?
Alak tayo.
Yung bio.
Panibado ka na, sir.
Social science, sir.
Sok sa'yo ni Sir ko. Sino diyan? Ni Sir. But anyway, I don't wanna mention names. I don't wanna mention names ko kasi yun nga na hindi tayo pare-parehas sa mga teachers. Merong mga teachers talagang very mataas yung standard. Though hindi naman sabihing mababa yung standard ko, pero I get to relate to my students. And then again, ayoko nga pag pinahirapan ko kayo, mahirapan din ako. Di parehas din nahirapan. Kaya ganun.
Sana all ganyan.
Ganun. So, it's already 10:30 and then again, it's just a word of encouragement. Ituloy nyo lahat, no? Ituloy nyo pa rin. Mahirap. First batch pa lang tayo, second batch, third batch, tapos matapos yung first sem, may second sem pa, and the rest of the years for you to practice your profession. So, continue nyo lang yan. Kaya nyo yan. Maybe someday, if you encounter problems, you should get to reply, no, yung mga pinag-usapan natin ngayon. So, yun na nga, no, without further much ado, ano ba, meron pa bang mga tanong bago ako mag-exit? At, yun na nga, baka gusto nyo mag-open cam, tapos mag-screenshot tayo, pero kukunti lang palang nag-open cam kanina. Thank you for greeting for the rest. Any questions before I get to say and be part ways for this first batch of your classes? Questions?
Sir, J. Oras. Manong wait oras, J. Konti exam.
The exam?
Mano minutes.
Kastoy. Plano cut mga 80 items manan, tapos I'll be giving you 1 minute per item. So 80 minutes, so mano de 80 minutes, 1 hour and 20 minutes. So, uray bagak 1 hour 30 minutes. Day 1.5 hours. Sige.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Anong oras po yung start pala, sir?
Alas 2 pero Ma'am Cindy, we can talk about it and maybe have a special schedule for you para hindi mag-conflict diyan sa sa work mo.
Wow.
Siyempre,
Yes.
working
Thank you,
siya
sir. Salamat.
You know, if you get to deal with lives, that's the reason why I'm quite strict with midwifery and nursing kasi you get to deal with lives. Nagkamali ka dyan, namatay pasyente mo, mahirap. Alright, as compared to other courses naman na hindi siya masyadong dealing with life. So, if you're working on the medical field, no, ang hirap pag hindi ka nakafocus kasi iniisip mo yung exam mo. Yung pasyente mo, iniwan mo na. Ayun pala, na nagka-crowning na pala yung estudyante mo, lumalabas na yung ulo doon, iniwan mo. Nalaglag yung bata paglabas. So, something like that. So, mga ganun. So, if there are no questions anymore, then thank you very much once again. And we get to see see each other more in the social media. So, furthermore, in maybe future subjects that you may be under with me again. Thank you very much and have a good morning. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Bye. Thank you, sir.